What's up, everybody? It's King Shark Gaming here, and there's been a lot of confusion with this timeline here, this flowchart. So I figured me and
I'm Bruno. As many of you may know, I'm kind of a big deal in the community
we're
these
kind of
days.
big deals. We're gonna go through this and explain it for everybody that was confused. Understandably, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on.
We're starting at the very beginning. Ginger OG.
2017, we're at here. Yeah, this was, from what I can tell, this album was just well beyond the realms of everyone's comprehension.
And now, so some of you may have heard there's this line in Gemini, which is on the saturation demos, and this line we thought got reused on the title track Ginger. But it turned out the whole time it was the other way around because the Ginger version was first, and then it got reused on Gemini on the saturation disc. Pretty crazy.
Real
The
careful.
drums on St. Percy and Bump are basically the same. Also, for the people that were wondering about that, I know there's been a lot of questions about that. That's why. It's because it became that. Which, by the way, might as well mention, back and forth gets copyrighted, of course, as Saturation 301. With My Kin gets copyrighted as Saturation 312. So, those are some saturation leaks. But moving on, Saturation 4 is what's really important, the Bruno version here.
Not me, this is just purely coincidental. No one really knows who Bruno Jones was. Unfortunately, he did pass away. Now, this is a very private matter. We don't actually know what he passed away from, but Bruno Jones was sort of a friend of the band.
A father figure, really.
And he was kind of providing creative input and helping with a lot of the production on Saturation 4. Now, unfortunately, he did pass away. So what we currently know as the demo CD is actually a bunch of Saturation 4 demos. It's an early cut of the album before he passed away. But it's purely coincidental that, my name is also Bruno. This is just,
hence the Clintoning and whatnot.
General Clintoning.
So that sort of leads into team effort here.
The thing with team effort is that team effort never really existed, hence why we've received a lot of leaks from different eras, but we've never really received a team effort leak. The reason for this is team effort was purely a marketing ploy. It was more of a situation where almost to have this enamor of a missing album so that when they would finally release Puppy, rest in peace to Puppy, they'd be like, oh, there's a missing album somewhere along the line. That's generally this.
From the start, it was always Puppy. Team effort was never meant to be anything. I mean, you look at that cover, you really think that was something they put a lot of effort in? Come on.
Yeah, that's very placeholder. So, wake up, babe. The car crash wasn't your fault. Team effort never existed.
Puppy, what more can we say about Puppy that hasn't been said already? There was a little bit of information that came out, God, it was during Sugar blowing up, so you might not have heard of it, but Kevin was actually, he sort of talked about in an interview with, was it Sway? I think it was that one.
I don't think it was the Sway. I can't remember who. It might not even be up anymore, actually, the interview this was from. I think it was with BBC.
Right, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, so he talked in that interview about Puppy just a little bit, and we got a little bit of information about where the title came from.
Okay, so in the interview, Kevin was talking about where he got the name Puppy from. Because it's a very abstract title. We don't, pardon the pun, abstract. He's actually walking down the street, I think the streets of Malibu, and he saw an old gay couple walking a dog. I think one of them might have even been blind, I think he said, hence why there was a guide dog. It made him really think, he's like, wow, these men were persecuted for a long time within their lives, purely for their sexuality. Now here we are in 2018, and, people can be really free with their sexuality. Hence why Kevin was able to make it in the hip-hop industry as an openly gay man. And, I'm forever proud of Kevin for that. It's really inspiring. That's where Puppy came from, basically, as a homage to the couple he saw walking down the street. The more you know, that's something I never would have guessed is where the title came from.
Even crazier than that, though, Pencil.
Pencil. Wow.
Now, and let me
Handsome.
just say, because there's a lot of people that saw this image and they were confused, like, what's a joke? What's that? This is all real, but, like, obviously this pencil cover is a joke, like that.
Yeah, this is a placeholder. We know Pencil in the description for 1999 Wildfire, which was the first of the three singles. So it was really a working title for the next album on the flowchart, which is The Best Years of Our Lives.
Now, The Best Years of Our Lives, there's a lot of misinformation with people saying, oh, this is a Puppy song, Wildfire's Puppy, I can put that on Puppy. It's not really. Most of this was looking back, but they went a bit further. This is more Saturation 4 reworks. Truman, Saturation 4.
Yeah.
Wildfire, Saturation 4. Diana, Saturation 4. It's all Saturation 4. So now for the titles of the tracks, you of course know 1997, 1998, 1999, but not all of them were in that order. They were all going to have a year, but that was just 3 tracks that happened to be next to each other on the album. The rest of the tracks were going to be different years. In fact, they wanted to take as much advantage of this as possible and have special years throughout history that they'd be going through and sort of serving as a time capsule. It's really a brilliant concept. I mean, one of the titles we know.
So 1776 Independence. This is actually commonly known as Bankroll, but then of course you got 500 BC, which is a real grail. This is actually Dearly Departed OG. So the triple album, we'll just look in the order of which of them. So the order of the triple album is Iridescence and then the Radiance EP, which is kind of like a connective tissue almost, you could say. Supposedly the outro of Fabric, it was actually meant to transition into the first track of the Radiance EP. Now, this track, off the top of my head, was called Cordial. Yes, Cordial. So, yeah, then it just sort of goes into Burger. So, King Shark Gaming, would you like to go into what Burger actually is?
Many of you might remember Burger King, the fast food chain, around the time of Iridescence dropping, was tweeting out pictures of the Burger King in like that Iridescence sort of art style and talking a lot about Iridescence, and it seemed very weird. Brands don't just do that usually. That's not something you would just do. There's got to be a mutual thing going on, and it's because Burger was essentially a collab album. Like, obviously, the Burger King wasn't on it, but they're sort of helping fund it and promote it, and it would have been a mutual thing. It was a very grand, maximalist, think royalty, grand strings. We see a little bit of that on Iridescence, and some even on Radiance being the connective tissue, but this was really going to be the send-off to this trilogy.
Burger King in Australia is not actually called Burger King, it's called Hungry Jack's. And you'll notice that if you look in the background of the San Marcos video, right behind them on the corner that they're filming on the corner of Burke Street and Russell Street in Melbourne, they're actually outside of Hungry Jack's, the Australian equivalent. So that also sort of gives weight to this this link.
So San Marcos is a song on Iridescence, of course, but we've known for a while that Vinegar was the original title of San Marcos. And there's an interview, I'll put the clip on screen, where Kevin says the original San Marcos was like a trap banger, very different, right? That was Vinegar. Now, Vinegar, 7 letters, many thought probably, maybe Saturation 4, because, Saturation 3, 6 letters, but it turned out it was actually part of the Best Years of Our Lives, actually. My bad, forgot to mention it earlier, but I believe it's 1943 Vinegar.
I think 1942 Vinegar.
42 Vinegar, sorry.
Yeah. All good. A lot of different years we're working with here, but yeah. 1942 Vinegar.
That was trap banger San Marcos. Very possible there's an Amir verse on there. We don't know.
Wait, no, there couldn't be. That's post Puppy. I wish, but yeah.
Amir didn't leave till Iridescence.
Yeah.
I mean, most of this column isn't even out. In fact, one of them is out.
Yeah.
crazy. So
they still wanted that trilogy, yeah, but they kind of just shifted. Iridescence. We'll get rid of the other two. We'll make a new two.
Yeah, and so we end up getting IDGAF, right? Which obviously, I don't give a fuck, right?
That's what I thought too, yeah.
It's meant to be angry, abrasive. Elevate was actually on here. It was a slightly different version, but I mean, you can think of like how Dom is just killing it on that track, going crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's the abrasiveness we're talking here. But it actually turns out we don't have much here, but if you remember back when there's a snippet with In My Neighborhood, and it was right after that there was the snippet for IDGAF, one of the tracks on there. Do you remember the title?
The track was Juice.
Right, Juice. Yeah, so on Juice, in the snippet, Dom literally says, intellect doesn't gain any friends, which, like, it took like a week, but eventually someone was like, yo, that's IDGAF.
Yeah.
That's probably what it stands for. But,
because, it's a very specific chain of letters where it's like, that can't not be what it stands for.
That's why we
love
Dom.
I mean? Yeah. Yeah. This is like angry. Iridescence dialed up to 11. That's how angry it is.
I mean, I'd even say it's like Burger dialed up to 11.
Well, yeah. That too, yeah.
So they decided we'll just do the opposite. Fine, Puffy. You might recognize this art. It was originally this leaked when Sugar leaked on the jukeboxes, like way back then. Puffy was the album. Now you might be thinking, Puffy. Oh, do you mean Puppy? No, those sound similar, but it goes beyond that. Puffy and Puppy kind of have a bit of a connection because, I mean, look at this Puppy album cover, how happy it is. That's sort of the idea, is bringing back the summer album, the happy vibes.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of very bright sounds. Sugar is made during this time. We have No Halo OG without the feature. And it just added into this very happy thing. You could even say this very gay thing.
Yes, in the happy sense, I believe. Well,
yes.
Yeah, in the happy sense. So, from Puffy, which is your yin, evolving into IDGAF, which is your yang, and you end up with yin yang, which is pretty crazy.
Fucking yang.
How crazy is that? Yeah,
IDGAF, aka intellect don't gain any friends, is the yang to Puffy, aka Puppy reworks yin.
This is where there's like levels to this.
This took a lot of time, so please donate to my Patreon.
Also, please donate to my PayPal if you're feeling generous. PayPal.me/ I think it's Scumbag Bruno.
We are so desperate. I will
not
do anything for money.
We're in a financial pickle here.
I need a burger. I need a McPickle. So as you said, concept album. Holy crap.
We've never seen this from them.
The black and the white, the dark and the light, the good and the bad, the rad and the sad.
Yeah, and this cover is really wild too. Is this the official cover?
Now, don't get too excited, but when I was in some email accounts, this was there. We're not sure if it's final. Now, we of course have snippets from this one. Tons of snippets.
Yeah,
I mean, you can look at the Reddit thing. We got tons of snippets on there. Breaking Down is 8 minutes long. It's like Runaway meets Death Grips. Like, we're talking mental breakdown. Dom talks about murdering people in such gruesome detail that I thought he did.
Jinx. Yeah, it's like... Yeah, from what I can tell, this is like... Holy shit. Insane.
Like, I think RCA heard that, and they were like, holy shit, he might be guilty. Like, we gotta keep this one down.
So yeah, obviously we know RCA says too dark, and we go to a recycled idea after Yin Yang, and that is the one and only Ginger. So
Yes,
in the 2
remember
years.
Ginger OG. Don't forget. All the way back at the start.
Yeah, it's here now. We both have our gripes about this album. The track list is very scattered and all over the place. Heaven Belongs to You into Saint Percy into If You Pray Right. It's like, for my Kanye fans out there, that's like Frank's track into No More Parties in LA into Wolves. You can't be doing that.
I would say that's also probably why they went all the way back into the vault looking at, Ginger OG, taking songs like Big Boy from there, taking songs like Ginger title track, and bringing them over here. It was just sort of, they're so sick of being denied over and over again. This is what they ended up with.
Yeah, this was really, I think this is a bit of a filler album just to get that contract,
Playing it safe.
Get closer to the end goal. Yeah. So it's a bit of everything. Obviously, the slow tie feature wasn't there on Ginger OG.
Ass. It's such an ass album.
It's really not that good. It's possibly the worst one on here, let's be real.
I think, it easily is the worst. This is the one that embarrasses me the most to be up here.
Yeah. Garbage. Out of here. Now we move on to what was meant to be BH6, Ride. Think that loud bass music promo video for the Euro Tour. That's kind of the style going here. You can obviously see it in the aesthetic of the cover. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 and the Euro Tour being cancelled, we didn't get Ride. And this is possibly one of the biggest tragedies on here. Because I was really excited to see where they'd go with that aesthetic and with that sound from loud bass music. And it sort of just morphed into, because of COVID, technical difficulties. So I'm assuming there's a lot of similarities there with the sound.
Yeah, kind of like think of the line on Twisted where Kevin says, you're my ride or die, you're my ride or die. That's like probably connected. Yeah, your Edamame, you got like your Bankroll featuring A$AP Yams, all that stuff. But BH edits technical difficulties. Now, this is another thing, people, they look at the screenshot, they read the, we did Kevin's BH edits, and, okay, it's a joke. No, it's not a joke. That part is a joke, obviously. But the
same with the not enough edits. That's a bit facetious.
Yeah, do you guys remember with the Boyfriend Studios account, Kevin was reaching out to Brockhampton, and there was that whole thing where they were interacting, very public. This is sort of that, but what happened with BH Edits, which was the other major channel at the time. Kevin was just sort of interacting with these channels, and so it's obviously he's not actually BH Edits, but he did have literal creative input in this, and that's why many of those YouTube comments say this changed my life, this is their best work. Yeah,
I'd say better than Ginger personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, and I might be going a little overboard here, but Yin Yang level of hype behind this one, and we actually have it.
Whew.
So, around this time we get the RR soon, RR this, the RR folder.
What's RR?
What is RR? Well, RR, more like MBDTF, rejected rights over here.
Magnum opus.
Magnum opus, dude. Magnum condom, because this shit fucking. I think this could have impacted the election in a serious way.
Oh, 100%.
We're getting political.
This is fantastic cover art too, regardless of the political message, because I know obviously not everyone's going to agree with it. But just aesthetically, this is great. I love the color scheme they're going for here.
The red tape over the mouth is just so symbolic of everything that I've been feeling, and really I think all of us have been feeling for the last 4 years.
It's your English teacher's wet dream with that hidden meaning in it. Really, it's insane.
Call me an English teacher.
But obviously, there was a lot of tension from all sides during the whole Black Lives Matter protests, and this album was sort of made in the midst of that. Pre-election, during the protests, the samples news footage. I think MLK was sampled in a couple tracks.
Yeah, the interludes were actually planned to be interviews with people off the street, sort of.
Yeah, and field recordings too.
Genuine, yeah.
So it was sort of, as you can tell from the cover, anti-Trump, and it's it's pro-centrist as well.
It's authoritarian meets anarchism, really.
But, you know, RCA was like, and you could almost say understandably, because you wouldn't want BH to be alienating any fans with this one.
Yeah,
so
don't
RCA
want any
was like,
politics and raps, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as Dom says on Use Me, he says they don't want a social commentator, they just want to hear an expletive rapping, which is really, you know, it had that song not been on Arizona Baby, I'm assuming this verse would have been used on Rejected Rights, because that's a very powerful statement in the space of one line. So this, as far as they were concerned, at one point, this was gonna be the album.
And they thought it would be kind of cool if, you know what, for once we scrap an album privately, you know, we keep RR. Now, remember, I can't say much, but, like, remember when we had those screenshots where it said Roadrunner, and, like, how we kind of, you know, Brooklyn is kind of a big deal, right?
Kind of a big deal. Can I just say here, BH community, you got to start taking BH leaks seriously. I don't like leeches, okay? Because they're doing a lot for the community, and I'm just going to take a moment to say thanks to the server, thanks to the mods, thanks to the admins. Like, they built that up from the dirt. What would the community be like without this server? Probably the same bleak landscape it was before the server. So say thanks to the server, everyone. Sorry for the aggression, but I just had to get that out.
Amen,
I'm sick of leeches. Amen.
We were able to break that news about what RR really stood for. That was after it was changed, but it was through that method, and once again, can't say too much, but we were able to then uncover the stuff about Rejected Rights, and many of these other albums came through that leaking method, right? Including the next bit here, Zebra, yes, BH7, I mean, come on, we don't even have 6 yet, but 7 is being teased. Like, behind the scenes, they are teasing it hard.
There's no guarantee that this will come out, but at this stage, this is what it's looking like will happen after Roadrunner. But yeah, Zebra, unfortunately, it looks like this will be the last album from them. From what we can see behind the scenes, you know, I'm not trying to say I'm behind the scenes, but I've seen behind the scenes. And it looks like that's going to be the last studio album. They said this was Sat 3, but I don't know. So we don't know, but unfortunately that might be the end. Hence why it says end. But
I mean, hey, if it means making you correct, I'll make it their last album.
Ooh, hell yeah.
I know where they're at, man.
Yeah, you're one step ahead of them, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm one step behind them right now. I can see them.
What's that Kevin doing?
Eating a popsicle.
I hope he's working on the album. I hope this clears the air about what everything is.
Yeah, I hope this clears the air. There was a lot of people in the comments that were like, "Oh, this is fake," or whatever. Like this is all real. Once again, there were a few things, like obviously, you know, that's not a pencil art, but this it took a lot of time, and so
the titles and the info at least, yeah.
Yeah, I hope this cleared everything up.
And I hope you guys appreciated it, because this took a lot of work. So yeah, Patreon and PayPal's wide open. PayPal.me/scumbagbruno. So.
And keep on Clington.
Shining. Oh.
Damn.
Should we say?
I thought we'd go on for 10 minutes. It's been a half hour.